PR Connections Radio presents. This podcast is brought to you by LifeWave. Ready to elevate your wellness game? Meet X39 from LifeWave.com. This game-changing patch uses phototherapy to stimulate your skin, enhancing strength and stamina by channeling your body's innate energy. Simply apply it to harness infrared heat, naturally boosting your vitality. Want to learn more? Visit www.lifewave.com/VernD and step into a healthier, more active lifestyle today.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Breaking the Silence Beyond the Boundaries, where bold voices rise and limitations fall. I'm your host, Gail Larson, and today we are exploring what it truly means to give yourself permission to be seen. Now, for this episode, I wanted to do something just a little different. Instead of featuring one guest, I reached out to individuals who are on their own journey towards visibility, people who are ready to be seen, but just not quite ready to step fully into the spotlight of a full podcast conversation. So, what you'll hear today are their voices, real, honest reflections as they are stepping forward in their own way at their own pace. Because, being seen doesn't happen all at once, right? Sometimes it begins with simply being willing to show up just a little more than you did before. So I began with these questions. Have you ever found yourself trying to be like others when being seen? Can you share a moment when being seen felt uncomfortable or vulnerable? How does your identity, that is, how you see yourself, your identity, impact how confident you are when being visible? So let's listen to our first guest, Melton.
The women in my family are all leaders whose success I deeply admire and would like to emulate. Yet at the age of 40 this year, I still often feel small in the room. My grandmother, who I've never had the chance to meet but hear about all the time, was described as one of the most influential women of her time. My aunt, E.C. Bracy, a president at Unilever. Her mother, Patricia Eggleston, an attorney and executive vice president in Chicago who plays a key role in a major housing project. My very own mother, a regional sales manager in leadership, a published author, and one of the most confident speakers I know. My best friend, an assistant vice president and innovation leader at a local financial institution. Again, I still feel small in a room and quite vulnerable. I feel like I haven't even opened the elevator door at ground level to reach the heights that these wonderful people have obtained.
Yes.
When I'm around one of my pastors, Pastor West and his family, along with their longtime friends and married couples who seem to have it all together, many of them are in their mid-20s. They are successful enough to take 1 or 2 vacations a year and attend concerts freely. On dedicated conversation nights, they engage in deep, meaningful discussions, and I feel that I may contribute only minimally. But I'm floored by their spirit of excellence, kindness, generosity, and professionalism. These are the kind of people I aspire to become like. I stand by the Joel Osteen phrase, you can't hang out with chickens and expect to soar with eagles. You're going to become like the people you continue to associate with. If you want to know what you'll be like in 5 years, look at your friends. If they are going places, exuding excellence and soaring, then you're in the right circle. But if they are down, arguing, complaining, making excuses, and not performing, then you're likely to get stuck right there with them.
And I truly love that expression that he uses when he says, how can you expect to soar like the eagles when you are hanging out with chickens? So I have really found that when you hear the phrase being seen, most people think that being seen simply means letting others see you. Hence the preponderance of social media. I mean, putting yourself physically out there just to be seen. But what I found is this: it shouldn't be about being seen. It should really be about helping others to discover and see what truly matters. And more importantly, how they can make a difference for others. It all comes back to service and fulfilling the needs of your audience, whoever you are standing up in front of, and those that you aim to serve, really. And this takes me to something else that I pondered about visibility and speaking. Why do people think being seen can feel even more vulnerable than simply speaking? And what are people really afraid of when it comes to being seen? And for me, this is a biggie. I can't tell you how many people I have asked about appearing on my podcast, and they've responded as if I've asked them to streak across a football field completely naked. What did they think might happen in that particular moment? Well, not naked on the football field, but in the moment that maybe they appear on my podcast. What's the worst fear that they could possibly experience? And in these conversations, there were three critical fears that surfaced. The first is the fear of judgment. When considering being on a podcast, people seem to imagine others saying, who does she think she is? What does she really know about this anyway? Why should I listen to her? Overcoming the fear of judgment can definitely lead to a lot more opportunities for creative and exciting ways of expressing yourself, right? And the next fear that came out of these conversations that I had was fear of rejection. Now, let's face it, people just want to be liked. If you take the risk and put yourself out there, folks will either like you or not, right? People fear rejection. And they believe that if you don't give themselves permission to be seen, if they don't give themselves permission to be seen, nobody will care one way or the other. So why risk it? But risking the possibility of rejection can also lead to greater acceptance of yourself and discovering who you are and the positive impact that you could have on others. Again, remember, it's all about service to others. And finally, another fear that came out of these conversations was fear of being misunderstood. There's often that question I get from people who are somewhat on the fence about putting themselves in the spotlight. They say, well, if I'm on this podcast, what if people take what I say the wrong way? Can this be edited? And I'm sure you know what my response to that is, right? Life is not editable. This is why we have to live in the moment. Think before we speak so that we can be confident in the moment and so that we can mean what we say. No takebacks, no do-overs. Overcoming the fear of being misunderstood can very well lead to the possibility of being recognized as an authentic and impressive leader, an impressive individual in your field of expertise. Now, let's shift to another question about how identity might shape how comfortable you are with being visible. Do you ever try to emulate others in order to test out who you're becoming? Let's take a look at this next clip.
I truly feel like your identity and how you see yourself truly impacts how you go about your daily life. Your goals are different, your mentality is different, and a lot of times that's the battle that you have to overcome, is knowing that you're doing the right thing and that you are good enough and that you don't need to compete and feel that you are needing to be at a certain level at a certain time of your life. I struggle with that greatly. I'm still trying to figure out who I am and who I'm going to become. But I think it has tremendous impact on everyday life. That's what I have to say about that.
Yes, don't we all struggle with who we are becoming? And, we heard about how his identity shapes how comfortable he is about being visible. And that takes me to how people move along that journey of trying to become visible. How does one move from hiding who we are to allowing ourselves to be seen? In other words, what helps someone move from hiding parts of themselves to allow themselves to be seen in maybe small ways? And what I've always said, small steps, baby steps, maybe sharing their words in other ways through pictures or visuals, and then maybe adding audio recordings to those pictures and visuals. Now, one of my guests wanted to share, but not on camera or audio. What's interesting is that Christina is a performer, yet struggles with being seen when speaking. So I will share her words as well. Working hard was never a hard thing for me to do. It's just second nature. So naturally, with music and performing as a cellist, I'd shine and just play from my soul, and others praised it, and a couple others who were also musicians would turn up their nose and quietly whisper amongst their friends or peers, opening up small, vulnerable wounds that never truly heal, just start to scab. The next moment of achievement and recognition occurs, and a small open wound appears again in a never-ending cycle. Now, I'm sure you realize that was her voice, but those were her words. She's a great writer. She's very articulate in real life, but she felt vulnerable. She didn't have the confidence to come on to the stage and talk about how she felt about being seen. Now, little did Christina know that last year I actually made a recording of her responding to one of my questions about what are you passionate about? And so Christina shared with me how she feels most authentic about when she's passionate. So let's take a listen and then compare her words to her expression.
When it comes to passion, I would say music is my biggest passion. Anything from my favorite song to when I'm playing the cello, music's in my DNA. It flows through me, it rocks me to my core. It has the power to change an entire mood. Music is amazing, it's beautiful. Have I mastered it? No.
Absolutely. So you could see when she's in her own element, when she's being authentic about something that she is passionate about, then the question of being seen, it's no longer a question because you want to be out there, you want to express yourself as well. So you've seen how Christina is being her authentic self. How do we balance being authentic with the very real desire and need to protect ourselves, to mask ourselves? And if you had time to ask that question, if we aren't being truly ourselves when we're being seen, what actually happens when you take the mask off? What are people going to actually see? So, as we move into the close of this episode, giving yourself permission to be seen, I ask you, what would you say to someone who knows they're ready to be seen, but still feel that hesitation? Every voice that you heard today represents a step forward, a moment of courage, a willingness to be seen. So take your step, because your voice matters just as much as theirs. Today, we heard how vulnerability shows up in those moments of being seen, but there's something deeper underneath that. You heard real voices, real reflections from individuals who are stepping forward in their own way. So, wherever you are on your journey of being seen, know that you don't have to wait until you feel completely ready. Because when you give yourself permission to be seen, you create space for others to do the same. So until next time, keep breaking the silence and go beyond the boundaries.
Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.